Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Superstar. If this is your first time on this channel, click here to go back to the intro, or if you'd just like to see what's been happening recently, click here to go back to Genesis 17. Now without further ado, I'm just going to jump right on into Genesis 18, verse 1. Then the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth trees of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh your hearts. After that you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant. They said, Do as you have said. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, Quickly, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, and took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Then they said to him, Where is Sarah your wife? So he said, Here in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life. And behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son. Sarah was listening in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord not being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I surely bear a child, since I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, No, but you did laugh. Then the men arose from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them on their way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing, since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I have known him, in order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord, to do righteousness and justice, that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he had spoken to him. And the Lord said, Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood still before the Lord. And Abraham came near and said, Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the city for their sakes. Then Abraham answered and said, Indeed now, I who am but dust and ashes, have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose there were 5 less than 50 righteous. Would you destroy all of the city for lack of 5? So he said, if I find there 45, I will not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again and said, suppose there should be 40 found there. So he said, I will not do it for the sake of 40. Then he said, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 should be found there. So he said, I will not do it if I find there 30 there. And he said, indeed now I have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 should be found there. So he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 20. Then he said, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but once more. Suppose 10 should be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. So the Lord went his way as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Alright, how did Abraham know that the 3 men were divine beings? More than that, how did he know that one of them was God himself? I honestly don't know. But the best guess that I have would be that 1 second they weren't there, and the next second they were. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. How do you think Abraham knew that the 3 men were divine beings, one of which was God? Moving on. Regardless of how Abraham knew who the men were, he knew how to respond to a visit by God. He quickly presented himself, showed God the proper respect by bowing to the ground, and then did everything he could to serve him. This is an excellent example of how we should respond when God's presence shows up around us, whether that's in church or not. Now, even with God himself sitting right before them and telling them yet again that Sarah would have a son, they still doubted. What more could it have possibly taken for Abraham and Sarah to take God at his word? I'm starting to wonder if God was waiting to fulfill his promise until Abraham and Sarah had gotten rid of their doubt and unbelief. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Moving on. To further her disrespect for God, Sarah actually tried to say that she didn't laugh whenever God caught her. Did she honestly expect God to not hear her? I mean, he's God, come on. Moving on again. Why did God tell Abraham that he was going to Sodom and Gomorrah and his reasons for going there? Surely he didn't have to, and he would have acted justly toward the people sin regardless of his conversation with Abraham. I think he revealed his plan to Abraham so that Abraham could intercede for the righteous people that may or may not have been in the city. Alright. As Abraham keeps asking God how many people it would take to spare the city, he goes from 50 people all the way down to 10. I think Abraham knew how wicked Sodom and Gomorrah were, and every time he would throw out a number, he would probably get nervous and wondering if there were actually that many people that were righteous in the city. So he kept lowering his number. If he only knew that Lot was the only righteous person in the city, he probably would have asked God if he would have spared the city for only one person. And finally, I think Abraham mainly pleaded with God for Sodom and Gomorrah for Lot's sake, knowing that he lived there. Had Lot not been there, I wonder if Abraham would have pleaded with God as much as he did. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, leave them down below in the video response or in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all soon in Genesis 19.